Panthers football looks like that. We didn't have any turnovers.
No! Hell no!
Could they run the ball in the second half? Hell no. You shut the run game down. You force them to pass. We knocked the ball down. We got after the quarterback. That's team football right there. That's team football.
The culture seems like it's starting to change for the Carolina Panthers as everything is starting to come together the second half of the season when it comes to Dave Canales being the head coach that we all thought he was going to be, from Bryce Young being the quarterback one that we all hoped he was going to grow into, and all the young players doing their thing as well. So in today's video, I'm going to go over why I believe the culture is starting to change for the Carolina Panthers. Before we head into that, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on post notifications. I'm going to drop Panthers content consistently like this for these last 2 weeks of the season as we head into the offseason. Man, draft season is starting to come full swing. Free agency is starting to come full swing, and it's all going to, man, after the season, I got great content for you guys, specifically for the offseason. So if you guys are new, make sure you subscribe for me as well. And let's head right into it. As I mentioned earlier, man, the culture is starting to change. I mentioned a couple things earlier. First things first, I want to mention head coach Dave Canales. I mentioned this before a couple weeks ago. I said, Dave Canales, man, you got to give him time. It's not what we hoped for this season so far. We're 4-11 right now, but you can see he's coming to his own. He's doing his thing as a head coach, first-year head coach. He's made mistakes, but he's bounced back, specifically the second half of the season, and he's doing way more as a first-year head coach than we saw a veteran head coach last year with Frank Reich do, with a similar roster, just a better offense, of course, better things to work with, even though the receivers are still very young, with Adam Thielen as well right there. Dave Canales is showing why we took a gamble on him as a first-year head coach, because he has the leadership. He had the balls in the beginning of the season to bench your number one quarterback that you took last year, who was only really a year into his NFL career, and benched him and said, okay, we need to sit this guy, because at the end of the day, most of the fan base, of course, there was the sliver of that fan base that just doesn't like Bryce Young, who thought he was supposed to be benched last year. Most of us did not like the benching because it was 2 weeks in. We felt like he's still young. Like, the only way he's going to get better is he give him reps, right? But he benched him, okay? And it paid off. It paid off. It seems like every single decision he made the first half of the season, it slowly paid off. And he has his locker room rejuvenated, playing together. The young guys are playing great. As I slowly, start touching on the young guys, Dan Morgan has also made a huge impact on this culture changing because of first of all, the draft class that he had with XL. There's nobody in this draft class that has made an insane impact like they're going to be a elite player in the league so far. Like, we're not coming out of this season thinking XL is going to be an elite player. Trevor Wallace is going to be an elite player. Of course, Jonathan Brooks just got injured and has only really played 2 games of meaningful snaps, so we can't even really give a opinion on Jonathan Brooks. Shaw Smith-Wade has made an impact, seen week to week, has played meaningful snaps, hasn't really made any big mistakes. Of course, isn't a corner that you want to be your number one, but again, with a young team and a team that's not good, get your young guys playing. And we've seen a lot of growth and a lot of good snaps from these young guys, and Dan Morgan has a lot of, praise for that. And of course, not even mentioning Jatavion Sanders, who's, in my opinion, had the biggest highs so far out of all the rookies. Not mentioning Jalen Coker either, who was an undrafted rookie that we brung out of the undrafted at a Holy Cross and just said, go out there and make an impact. And he's definitely been, I think, the second best receiver this year when he's been out there. It's been Adam Thielen, of course, as a number one receiver. Then the second best receiver has not been XL. I think it's been Jalen Coker. When he's been out there, he's made a bigger impact than XL, which is exciting to see. Those are 2 rookies that have made impacts so far this year. And it just seems like all the rookies are in. And also Damani Richardson, of course, who had a pick in the back end last week or a couple days ago against the Cardinals to bring that game to OT and give us a chance to win that ball game. The signings also for Dan Morgan in the offseason, when it comes to Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis, they have single-handedly had a big impact for this team and for this offensive line. Robert Hunt is honestly the best signing that he made in the offseason. You can argue Mike Jackson as well. He's also made a big impact, especially not knowing Mike Jackson was going to be on this roster in training camp. Seemingly he was because of that Dane Jackson injury towards late down in training camp, which is the reason why he even was a number 2 corner in preseason and got the nod when the season started. Mike Jackson is very inconsistent, but he's a big reason why we beat the Cardinals on Sunday. He had 2 massive plays in overtime I think it was back-to-back, 2 batted balls down in overtime to give us the ball back and go down and get the game-winning field goal. He's a big-time player for us, even though, again, he's not very consistent. If you can go out there and give him a 1-year deal to just be even the number 3 corner, I mean, he's a solid player that you can bring back. And if he could just figure out to be more consistent, he's very good at breaking on balls. You see it on like every Sunday. He's very good at it, but just very inconsistent. And if he just get consistent, you'll be fine because you have J.C. Horn, and teams do not want to throw at J.C. As you can see, they're going to pick at Mike Jackson, pick at Shaw Smith-Wade, but you have that J.C. Horn, that lockdown corner that no one wants to throw at, so you're fine there. And also, I want to mention the D line because I might have a D line video later this week that I'm going to drop, just talking about it because A'Shawn Robinson is absolute star. I think he has 5 sacks this year so far. Pretty sure he has 5 sacks this year as a defensive tackle. I know people love Mason Graham. I love Mason Graham personally. I think he's the second, most talented defensive player in this draft class behind Travis Hunter, of course, at corner. In my opinion, you have Derek Brown. We all know how elite Derek Brown is. If you have A'Shawn Robinson, he can be your number 2 next year. If you just say, okay, we might just go Abdul Carter, James Pierce Jr., whatever. And also, we might not even be in a position if we win. I think we can win another game, by the way. But if we do win another game, we won't be in position for Mason Graham potentially. But we might. We might not even be in position for Abdul Carter. But you guys know how I feel about James Pierce. I think he's actually very elite. His size, his speed, his length, all that. He's a very good edge rusher. I think he has the potential to translate to the NFL even better than Abdul Carter. But of course, we know Abdul Carter's like a Michael Parsons. He can play everywhere. Like, he can play inside. He can play outside. He can do everything as a pass rusher, which is what honestly is what we want here. Just a very versatile pass rusher. But James Pierce, if you had to settle for him, you're in great hands. You are in great hands as an NFL team on that edge position. But I saw A'Shawn Robinson on Sunday again, got that sack, kind of like pancaked an offensive lineman. I was like, yo, this guy's very good. And when Derek Brown comes back, you don't have to, rely on that load. I thought Shy Tuttle was going to be what A'Shawn was going to be this year, but not as impactful. It seems like week to week now, A'Shawn is making plays, like impactful plays on third down, sacks, stopping the run, and you have Derek Brown to rely on that. If you can have A'Shawn Robinson give you 5 sacks on a season as a defensive tackle, you're in great freaking hands. Like, you're in great hands as a defensive line. You just got to add a top 3 defensive tackle back off of injury. Like, you can conversate. Okay, you have A'Shawn Robinson coming back. Okay, boom. Derek Brown, A'Shawn. Now you add Abdul Carter, James Pierce, or even go corner. I would personally go edge because you need that personally, even though it's crazy. We're top 5 in sacks so far. The last, 5 weeks, I think we have like 14 sacks on the season. It's pretty crazy. Okay, last thing. I want to touch on Bryce Young because this is the biggest reason why I feel like the culture is changing. The biggest reason. Okay, the biggest reason why we started 0-2 in the beginning of the season, the culture seemed dead. It seemed like we were at the lowest point as a Panthers, as a franchise we've been. Bryce Young got benched, came back, bounced back, has looked even better than ever as a quarterback in the NFL so far this year. He is the biggest reason, if not a top 2 big reason why, with Dave Canales, in my opinion, why the culture is ultimately changing. Because if Bryson doesn't bounce back, you're still not in good hands right now. You're not. You don't have any hope going next year. This is the first offseason you can go in the season without saying, who are we going to draft the quarterback? Because you remember 2021 when we drafted J.C. Horn, there was still a question, should we go Justin Fields here, Mac Jones? There were still question marks on who we should, potentially draft in that draft, but we said, nah, we're going to go J.C. Horn. And we decided to go Sam Darnold. I think that was the same offseason we got Sam Darnold on that deal. We traded with the Jets. But, this is the first offseason where we don't have to go in next season questioning if we have our guy. You can say last year we did that, but at the same time, like, Bryce didn't prove anything last year. With 2 wins, he didn't prove anything. There were a couple games sprinkled here and there, like against the Packers and against the Dolphins in that first half, where you were like, okay, it's there. And the Falcons game, that fourth quarter, when he proved it, like there were sprinkle moments in Bryce's rookie season last year where you saw like, okay, he can be the guy, but we only won 2 games and he didn't do enough to prove it. So we went into the season basically hoping with, Excel, with all these new guys, Jonathan Brooks getting drafted, with, Chuba Hubbard. We knew how good Chuba was going to be. I didn't know he was going to be quite this good, because Chuba Hubbard is absolutely elite at running back, by the way. A top 5 running back in the league at this point. He stamped that. So, which is actually another big reason why we're at this point too, because he had 150 yards yesterday. But Bryce is a big reason why we are sitting here right now feeling good as a franchise, because it's the first offseason we can go into the season not questioning quarterback for the last 5 years, solely 5 years, since we had Cam Newton. Since Cam left, Kyle Allen, PJ Walker, Sam Darnold, Cam Newton again, Baker Mayfield. I mean, it's just bad. It's been a bad circus of coaches, quarterback, but it seems like we finally found the quarterback and the coach tandem of the future. I still want to see more from Bryce, okay? He's proven a lot. He's proven a lot. He's proven a lot to absolutely be the starter next year and absolutely give us hope as a franchise why he should be the quarterback of the future. But I still feel like I need to see him be able to do more, okay? More of a stretch, especially starting next season, because I feel like with the offseason to relax and not get all that off of you, I feel like he can come into a season next year and be like, not be as good, just because of the fact that when you've been sitting for that long and you haven't seen like NFL defenses for that long, and also it just depends on who we get. If we're gonna sign a T. Higgins, bro, I'm going to next season thinking we're gonna make the playoffs. I'm sorry, I'm gonna do it, because the offense at this point, at this rate, we're scoring 30 points a game. Saw to get the Chiefs, saw here, like we are capable of doing it. Like, with Chuba Hubbard back there, with Adam Thielen making plays, hopefully he comes back next year. I think he will be a Panther next year for sure. You have to keep him. He's a great veteran, and him and Bryce have that connection. But we are capable of scoring 30 points, and we couldn't say that last year. So it's really the defense that you got to figure out. Draft that pass rusher, that corner that you really need, or that Mason Graham next to Derek Brown. But other than that, man, the culture's changing, and it feels really good as a Panthers fan. The first time we could say this since, I don't know, the Steve Wilkes era. Like, that was the last time we could really say that second half of the season that like we were going next season with a chance to make the playoffs. The last time that we could have said that. And it feels great. Feels great. Bryce, I mean, we got a quarterback, we got a coach, we got our GM, we got young players like shining right now. I mean, there's young guys sprinkled everywhere on the field every Sunday that are making plays. If it's XL, Jalen Coker, Shaw Smith-Wade is visibly out there every single Sunday, even though he's not making like insane plays that you expect Jason Horn to make. He's still out there moving around, not giving up the big ones as a rookie corner against really good receivers in the NFL. So feels really good, man. The culture's changing. Love this team. I just can't wait till we start the offseason and see who we going to get in the free agency, who we going to trade for, and ultimately the draft, man. So that's the video for today, man. The culture is changing. I'm probably gonna have a video coming out later this week talking about the D-line and talking about kind of sprinkling draft talk a little bit. As you know, just love doing that. Just can't wait to the offseason, man, because of course we're out of the playoffs. Nothing really to talk about. Time to, shift our focus towards the offseason and what we should do in free agency and the draft. So if you guys are new, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, because the offseason is going to be great. You guys will not want to miss out on my offseason talk. I promise you it's the best. If you guys need to make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, share with the friends or whatever, with other Panther fans for me, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.